It is Law Week here on Wake Up Today. Don't miss your chance to get free legal information from the Young Lawyers Division. Make sure to tune in every morning this week for advice on various topics. This morning, we're talking story with Nick Severson, managing attorney of the Housing and Consumer Unit at the Legal Aid Society of Hawaii, about landlord-tenant issues. Aloha and good morning, Nick. Thank you so much for stopping by with us this morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
This is such an important topic, and it's been exacerbated by the pandemic as well as the Maui wildfires. First, I want to get to the issues that we face here with the rental market. The rental market is very tight here in Hawaii. Obviously, rents are increasing, and a lot of times this can lead to folks being evicted. Now, tenants who do end up in this situation, what can they expect?
Yeah, so it's really important to know that once you've been served with a complaint, that you show up to court at the date indicated on the summons. Because if you miss your court date, you're going to be defaulted and likely evicted. So at that initial court date, the court is going to ask you if you admit or deny the allegations in the complaint. If you admit, the court's going to issue a judgment and writ of possession, which would allow your landlord to evict you typically in a matter of a few days. If you enter what's called a general denial or tell the court that you deny the allegations in the complaint, then the court will set a further hearing, either a pretrial conference or a trial date, and is likely to order the parties to mediation, which is a really good opportunity for both landlord and tenant to talk about their issues and try to resolve the problems that they're having. If it's not able to be resolved that way, then eventually the matter would be set for trial, and then the court would make a determination. So it's really important for tenants and landlords to abide by court orders, follow the instructions of the court, and make sure that they are trying to work the issues out, because an eviction can result in obviously difficulty finding future housing, and could also result in the termination of someone's housing subsidy if they receive federal or state housing subsidies.
Another thing for tenants to know about is housing discrimination. Now, I understand the Legal Aid Society does cover housing discrimination. What are some of the most common forms of housing discrimination? And if folks are a victim, what should they know?
Yeah, so it may surprise people that housing discrimination is still somewhat common in our community and across the country. What we see most frequently with respect to complaints are based on disability, national origin, and familial status. So those are the three we see most common, though there's a variety of protected classes as well. If anyone's been discriminated in a housing transaction based on their race, religion, Hanai status, which is obviously unique to Hawaii concept, those would be protected classes as well. So there's both state and federal protected classes, and if someone's been a victim of housing discrimination based on any one of those protected classes, then they can file a complaint with either the Hawaii Civil Rights Commission within 180 days of the last date of discrimination, or with the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which would be the federal agency that investigates those complaints, and those complaints need to be filed within 1 year of the last date of discrimination.
One of the issues we hit on is the Maui wildfires, and that had a big housing impact for a lot of folks on Maui. Governor Green did issue a number of emergency proclamations after the wildfires. Where do we stand right now with those emergency proclamations as it regards to housing?
Yeah, so first and foremost, evictions based on non-payment of rent are prohibited on the island of Maui. Similarly, rental increases, so increasing the amount of rent, also prohibited currently based on the proclamations. There's also some additional protections for tenants that are on a month-to-month lease. Typically in Hawaii, a month-to-month lease can be terminated with 45 days notice. However, currently that is prohibited unless the landlord is seeking to move an immediate family member, or it has sold the house to a bona fide purchaser. However, there's an additional requirement in the latest proclamation that would require the owner of the property to submit an affidavit with supporting documentation to the County of Maui to verify that their intentions to either rent the unit to immediate family or to sell the property are in fact legitimate.
All right, Nick, thank you so much for all this information today. This is wonderful for folks that are in the need for this kind of information. We'll have much more of that on our website for you at KHON2.com. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.